Electrocast.
Is that this Akashic Records is the field where we are all really one. If we are all really one, it's because you are the drop of the ocean, but you are the ocean itself. And in the ocean, we are all one. Then that's what I'm saying. It's not connected with lives or reincarnation or between lives you return to source. And when you return to source, you're part of this energy, but you are already here, part of this energy.
Welcome to the Cosmic Love Antenna Podcast. This podcast is meant to encourage you to connect within so you can share your light with the world. And now, here's your host, Harrison Ma.
Welcome, beautiful beings, to another episode of the Cosmic Love Antenna. This is your weekly installment of your inner connection to your outer expression, where I, your host, Harrison, here with the beautiful guest that I'll get to introduce in 2 seconds, set the loving intention to pull back the layers, restricting health, alignment, and love. And today you found yourself on another episode where we're going to do just that in a topic that's very interesting, very deep, and very loving. But before I get to that and the beautiful soul that's going to introduce you to the topic, I just want to send some love to all the listeners joining us today. If you are new, welcome to the tribe. If you are a returning guest, I appreciate you. I love your love, and thank you for tuning in today. If you get a bit of value here today, how you can help support the show and expand it into the cosmos is by sharing this episode to a friend, a lover, a family member to get some value. Remember, you can leave your feedback, questions, comments in reviews on Apple and Spotify. And if you're looking for more tribe at the moment, you can now go over to Facebook and join the Cosmic Love Antenna group, where there's some more lessons, education, and podcast updates over there as well. All right. With that said, let's get into the topic today and the beautiful soul and guest I have on the show. The beautiful Judith Costa is here with me today to talk about all things Akashic Records and unconditional love. Judith is a powerful soul in her own right. She's an unconditional love coach. She is an Akashic Records teacher. And we're going to dance back and forth today to talk about what the Akashic Records are, who uses them, why do we use them, what is their connection to love, what is the sort of deep spiritual foundation between these two elements, and so much more. Judith, thank you for joining the Cosmic Love Antenna.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy being here with you today and with everybody that is listening or will listen.
I'm happy too, my friend. And we were just talking before the started recording. You know, I know you've been going through a lot in the last couple of weeks, but you know, you've stepped forward today to share some love with me and everyone, and I'm really grateful. So thank you for being here, and I'm excited to share your knowledge and your spirit with everyone. Let's start here. I want the beautiful listeners out there to tune into your energy before we get into the topic at large. And I think a good place to begin, my friend, is a little bit about your story and sort of how you got into this work with the Akashic Records and love in general. So maybe you could tell us, you know, briefly about, I know you had a trip and a relationship that really alchemized your experience. So maybe let's start there and you can share what's on your heart around that.
Sounds good. And good you said briefly, because I think I will need like 4 or 5 podcasts to explain you everything that happened. I have been always interested in love. Since I was a kid, I read books about that and Eric Fromm. Maybe I was 15 years old. But it was later in my life where I started having problems and I didn't know what was causing the problems. My relationship, my marriage was not working. I wasn't happy with the career that I had. And my health started suffering as well. At that moment, nobody talked about self-love. I didn't know that was my solution. And I always find resources and information in books and learning things. Then I didn't have any other option to start learning who I was and why my life was not working. Then I found the concept of soulmates and my life was transformed. Many things happened that I'm writing in a book. And it's a long, long story, but I will say that I discovered that love is eternal and that soulmates are in our lives for different purposes, but they share a love of unconditional, a bond of unconditional love, and they help each other in so many ways. This, after my divorce and some years being on my own, sent me to New York to find my soulmate. It's a cute, nice story, but I save it for another moment. But I continue putting together all the tools that I have nowadays in my toolbox. I became a certified coach, and I start coaching people on how to find their soulmates. That was the beginning of my career, but very soon I realized that the most important reason why people couldn't find love was because they didn't love themselves, or they get stuck in a point in their lives where they couldn't forgive themselves for something, or they didn't believe that love was true for them. And my business, my passion suddenly moved towards the world of self-love. And it happened on its own. I didn't really decide any of those things. And it was after learning with Brian Weiss how to do past life regression. I'm an astrologer. I also have a master in the teachings of Carl Gustav Jung on psychology and psychotherapy. Then I work with dreams and I do past life regression and astrology and all of these things together. But I never had the opportunity to find a teacher, not in Barcelona, where I am from, and not in New York, where I was living. And it wasn't until I moved to Florida where I found the person that trained me. And I became a consultant of the Akashic Records and then a teacher. It's very funny because I say, no, I'm not going to teach this because there are 4 levels. I work in 2 languages. And I already have 5 of my own workshops. Then imagine 5 workshops, 2 languages, and then 4 more levels. That's crazy. And before I had a meeting with the managers of Akashic Records Consultants International, I remember that I asked the universe, if you want me to become a teacher, you have to tell me very clearly, because I want to do a certification as a happiness trainer. Then that was my next step, because self-love and happiness are very, very connected. And next morning, I get up, when I look at my phone and my email, there was an email of 1 sentence from a woman that became a client and a student with me that said, do you teach classes of the Akashic Records? It was very funny because I didn't advertise the Akashic Records at that time, and I wasn't a teacher, but it was a direct message from the universe, and that's the reason why I became a teacher. And now I don't only work privately with clients on that. I teach people how to do this work on their own, and it's very, very interesting. It really transforms our lives.
So, Judith, thank you for that. You did well, my friend. That was a very condensed, beautiful, expansive journey that you just took us through there. And I hope people listening were able to tune into Judith's path, because there are a couple of things going on before I want to start going into the Akashic Records. That's where you're at now. But just before we do, this idea of love is so much more than this emotion that we can feel even in a relationship with either with another person or with ourselves. If you heard Judith's beautiful journey just then, you can see that there was a force. There was a force that was sort of moving throughout the choices and the spaces and places and people that came into her life. And I would encourage everyone listening today to tune into that force, right? Tune into that mystical spiritual force that we could call love here today, and ask yourself, where is that force of love acting in my life today? Why did I listen to this episode? Me tuning into Judith's story, if you were listening to that, why did certain parts of that story ring more true than others? Well, come back to that love feeling, right? Come back to that spiritual guidance that's sort of flowing. Judith, can I just ask a question with this? Do you feel that in many ways that love could be equated to a higher power within your journey?
I will say that the journey that I explain is a journey from conditional love to unconditional love.
Yeah.
And we all, when we start having relationships and with our parents, with friends, we learn conditional love. This is what society teaches us, what we learn in many movies, songs, what your parents or authority figures teach you. You start hearing sentences like, if you are not a good girl, I'm not going to love you. Then you start thinking that this thing called love has to be acquired.
Yeah.
That you have to deserve it. And you forget that you are all love. That you have all the love inside of yourself that you need and more. And you start looking for love outside when it's inside. And I think it requires certain, like, I'm not going to say maturity, I don't like the word, but travels in life, some journey to realize that love, as you said, is not a word, it's not a feeling. It has to be demonstrated in action, but it's a state of being. It's really who you are. It becomes all of you. It takes over you. And you don't exchange love with other people. You don't enter in a relationship of whatever kind and say, I want to love you, but if you don't treat me the way I want, I want to stop loving you and give me back my love. And I go somewhere else and I'm going to share it with someone else. Then even though I'm divorced, I have a wonderful relationship with my ex-husband because I am grateful for the love that we share. It's just that the relationship has ended. And people don't get that. Yeah.
It's we can go off on little tangents here, but I think this journey that this is a journey we all take. This is not a Judith thing. This is not a Harrison thing. This happens whether we are consciously aware of it or not. And I'll just put this little seed in, and then we'll start diving into the Akashic Records. But a big part of the journey to unconditional love, a big part of us, I know I've experienced this, and Judith, it sounds like you did too. We must experience conditional love to first understand what is unconditional for many of us. But it's when we stay in that conditional state that the challenges arise. So we could learn conditional loving, so we can put up boundaries and understand what we don't like and what we do like, but then expand and evolve into the deepest form, which is that unconditional space, right?
Well, for me, it was a little bit different, if you allow me.
Yeah, go.
And also for many people that I have seen, this word that we call love, that everybody talks and nobody knows what it is, creates a lot of suffering for human beings. It should be the most wonderful energy that you experience, and is the cause of many, many problems. And it's because it's bad understood, because we don't love ourselves enough. Then when you don't love yourself, what happens is that you feel disconnected. Disconnected from what? From everything that exists. Then we tend, and I did it very well in my marriage, to put all the pressure in the other person to make us happy. Like, I am in love with you, and I love you, and I sign a contract to be with you. But my expectations from this kind of relationship, whatever, it's that it's transactional. But if I love myself so much, have so much love within myself, I can share it with you. Then is when a relationship of any kind becomes like, I love myself, you love yourself, but let's share the love that we already have. And when you are in love with everything that exists, you feel connected with the universe, you understand that you are divine, and then this opens the door for the unconditional love. Love without conditions means like, no matter what, you are still in love.
Yeah.
Like, there is love. It's abundant.
It's beautiful, my friend. This is, I don't want to derail us because there's so many little tangents we could go here. I'd encourage people to go back and listen to some of the episodes I did with Heather Tucker about religious trauma. And I think a big part of this disconnection between love and divinity is a lot of us, myself included, have grown up with a lot of religious programming. And I say this with love. There are beautiful aspects of every single world religion, but unfortunately there's a lot of human conditioning on top that tells us that we are unworthy and that we are separate from divinity, right? So then when we lean into this idea of love and divinity, we think there is a separation, that we are not it, and we can't have it unless we do something that appeases or appeals to something, again, outside of us. But yeah, let's pause it there, because that's a whole other conversation. Judith, I want to get into now Akashic Records, and this love and Akashic Record connection is really why I wanted to bring you on the show. And so let's start here with, maybe you can define what the Akashic Records are and how the love conversation factors into this.
Yeah, the Akashic Records are a field of energy where everything about you is recorded. When I say everything, it's every thought, every word, every experience, every feeling. It's like now, this conversation that I'm having with Harrison is being recorded from his perspective and from my perspective, with my feelings, my words, and from his perspective with his feelings, his ideas, everything that is happening to him. And it's not, sometimes we use the metaphor of the book of the soul, but it's more a video, because it contains all the images. And it's like if you have attached a camera forever and everything exists, but it's like the cloud, that you don't have the photographs in your phone. No, they're in the cloud, and you believe that they are in the cloud. No, it's energy. Then this happens the same. Then we can tap into this field of information, and we can kind of download this information for our higher purpose. Then this is what happens in a session where I will be an intermediate person between beings that we call masters or lords of the Akashic Records, but it's just because we are humans and we need to put labels. But they don't have a body, they don't have a name, they are just pure energy of unconditional love. They are emissaries of the divine at our service, and they permeate everything. It's like they can work 24/7, 365 days per year with everybody that tap into the Akashic Records at the same time. And this field of information, I don't think that as humans we can comprehend totally what we are talking about, but it's pretty simple, a session. Right? The person prepares a set of questions, and these beings will meet you where you are, will respect you, your free will. They're not going to tell you anything. It's not the guidance that is pushy. It's just give you something that you need at the moment. Then you don't read all the pages of this book of your soul. You just read, what is the answer? The page that contains the answer to your question. And it's very interesting because it's not only about information guidance and all of this. We can do also healing, but we will get into all of this.
So many questions already bubbling up. Thank you for that foundation there. Let me go here. So this Akashic Record field of knowledge and awareness, and I like how you said we put labels on it. I think even us just having this conversation, it's not doing it. It's doing it justice, but it's not the space and place where we go that is outside of this linear time, is timeless and spaceless, right? So the fact that we can put any sort of label on it, it just doesn't intrinsically work, but we need something, right? So I guess the first question I want to ask you to add on to this is this something, because I'm talking to you today and you're a teacher in this, and at the end of the show, we're going to do a session. I'm going to share that with everyone. But is this something that I, as the spiritual being Harrison, can access, once I'm trained?
Everybody.
Yep.
Everybody can do it. We teach level 1 to learn how to open your own Akashic Records in a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And everybody learns. You don't have to have any special ability, and 100% of the students learn it. If you want to continue the training, then you can do another class to open the Akashic Records of other people that feels a little bit different, but it's the same. And then there's level 3 about past lives and creativity and how to work with the records and so on, so on. But it's a thing that their relationship with your Akashic Records is like any other relationship. The more you talk to them, the deeper is the connection. Then if you really say that we are friends, are you going to stop calling me for 3 years? No, we will talk weekly. That it happens the same with the Akashic Records. When you finish the class, you should journal. That is the way we talk with the Akashic Records. You ask questions and they answer. Because this is how you really connect with the energy. We will tell people how the process works later. But once we read these words that give us access, like a vibrational key that you put it a door, then the door opens, you are in there. And you can be there as much time as you want. Then I take the Akashic Records with me everywhere. Now I have opened the Akashic Records of this recording. I can coach people with my Akashic Records open. I can open the Akashic Records of my house, of my business, of a problem that I had with someone. When I had a problem with American Express, and because they charged me for something that in theory they shouldn't.
Well, so Judith, let me ask a question about that, because that's my next question here. So first of all, I so appreciate you calling this a muscle and something that we just need to be devotional towards, right? Because that's, if people have been listening to my show, I talk about that in relation to the inner child, the dreams, your chakra centers. So this is just another spiritual, mystical, devotional act that we can start to, become a part of our being, as if we just do it.
It's up to you.
Yeah. But let me ask this question. When, in your opinion, when should we be seeking guidance from the Akashic Records? Should we be seeking it every sort of, let's just use something trivial. I had an argument with my dad last night. Should I go to seek about the card? Or there was
Of course.
Yeah. So when should we?
Every time you want, for anything you want. It's not only for big questions. What is the purpose of my life? Please tell me. No, I have lost my wallet. Where it is. Someone stole it or it's lost. You know that people, when they have a problem, they tend to call a loved one or a friend. Then I don't do this anymore. I just open my Akashic Records and I talk to them. And they tell me what is the best way to proceed. They give me the guidance. They give me the reason why this happened. What can I do to solve it? I do the healing. And that's it. I don't need to be a burden someone that is not going to be able to help me listen with all the love that they have for me. But even when I remember when I had cancer and I was in the plane, I had the diagnosis in Spain. Then I was coming back to home. And I didn't have, with all the turmoil and the answer, yes, you have cancer, to really be into my records. And I opened the Akashic Records in the plane, and it was so peaceful. And they told me, you are not going to die from this, and you are going to use this experience to help others, and you are going to talk about this. And even though you don't understand right now, this is part of your journey. Then suddenly it kind of made sense, even though I was at the beginning of the path. Then you use your Akashic Records for critical moments like this, or for the problem that I had with American Express. It doesn't matter.
It's taking it back to the energy of unconditional love. There's no judgment. There's no expectation. No. Yeah, and there's no conditions.
This is what people say. Yeah,
it's beautiful. And so a few things are coming up here now. A question I want to throw at you in regards to this, as I'm tuning into the frequency of this space that you're talking about. I have done a couple of episodes and shows talking about the place where we go when we die. And there are, a couple of different things we could talk about, but one of the places we go is the life between lives. And I know maybe you've looked into this with Michael Newton's work, and this is the space where we go to rest, where we go to assess the life that we've had with maybe some guides and some mentors. And we also go to plan the life that is going to come in the next incarnation. My question, Judith, for you is this Akashic record frequency and space separate to that place, or do you think the frequency and this, and I'm being very general here because I know it's hard to be concrete, but do you think they're separate or the same?
Nothing in common. Like, I can answer to your question from the perspective of, I know Michael Newton because of my work with soulmates, and Robert Schwartz, who also have his books about this period, and I regress people that have been in this period between lives. And we all have read stories about what happens, but in the manual of level 1, or when you learn how to open your Akashic records, there is a page that says, who are these beings? There is another one very funny that says, I am making this up, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm really receiving, or I'm making this up. Then I'm saying this because it's in that page of the manual where they explain, the manual is written in the Akashic records, no? That who they are, these beings, they are in a different frequency. This pure unconditional love, it's not very easy to experience and understand in this three-dimensional world where we live. It's not that we are not intelligent enough. We don't have the capability to comprehend how this energy is in our DNA, it's around us, is us, and it's why we are all one. Then Erwin Laszlo, that it's a physicist nominated twice for the Nobel Prize, has a couple of books, one about experiences with the Akashic records and another one where he explains more about the physics behind that for people that are more kind of into this field, they might be interested in reading this. For me, it's quite heavy to understand, but what I'm trying to say is that this Akashic records is the field where we are all really one. If we are all really one, it's because you are the drop of the ocean, but you are the ocean itself. And in the ocean, we are all one. Then that's what I'm saying. It's not connected with lives or reincarnation or between lives you return to source. And when you return to source, you're part of this energy, but you are already here, part of this energy.
Yeah. That, I think you're referencing one of my favorite quotes of all time by Mr. Rumi. And he states that we are not a drop in the ocean, but we are an ocean in a drop. And I think that that's a beautiful, as soon as you said it, a few things clicked in my mind in terms of what this space is and its value and its purpose. Another thing I'm going to throw at you here, and Judith, I just appreciate you so much, because this is I've delved a little bit into the Akashic records, but just to be totally transparent with you and everyone listening, this is my first sort of deep dive into it. So I really appreciate you answering these questions, because I know if I have them, that people listening probably have them too. And so the next one I want to throw at you here is, where does karma play a role in the Akashic records access and then the knowledge that is passed on? So for me, for example, karma, that I sort of, how I understand it, is it's not a tally, but it's more of a balancing of energy and resolved and unresolved that we get the choice to incorporate and learn from and expand. So where does the Akashic records play a role with karma?
One of the questions that I will say 85% of my clients ask is, I am carrying anything from past lives that is holding me back or is not allowing me at my full potential, or they don't come like who I was in past lives. I'm curious. They already know that there are certain things that happens in what we call past lives that might be affecting us now. And the wonderful thing about the Akashic records is not that you just get the information, okay, this is what happened, this is the karma, this is what happened in past lives, and this is how it's affecting that. We can clear that. We have tools, we have prayers, prayers to release, to let go of anything that it's not yours, like external influences, to release patterns of thought and behavior, to release souls that are in our path for whatever reason. And we have grace points in our hands where we signal certain things, and by divine grace, we get the healing. It's not a healing like I do in a session, or that when you open your records, you do. It's asking for divine grace, and divine grace is freely given at any moment whenever you ask. That's the reason why these grace points and prayers can be used in or out the Akashic Records. It's not that you're going to be experiencing karma forever because you were a bad guy and then you have to pay for that. That's not at all the idea behind an Akashic Records consultation. People feel like it's the first time in my life where I have not been judged. I felt supported. I felt guided. I felt like loved. And that's very important, because I don't think that we can transform our lives by being judging ourselves, criticizing, and being hard. I tried, and I didn't succeed. I ended up in a bad place. Then let's try with love. And the masters of love are these beings that connect with us when we open the Akashic Records.
And that's a connection here that I really want people to hear. When you said the beings, the masters of love, are the gateways into the Akashic Records. I think being in that frequency in itself, without even asking any questions, without even, diving, just being there, not only empowers us, but reminds us of that divinity, right? Reminds us of, if the fact that I can pick that up, the fact that I'm accessing this realm of existence with support, of course, but the fact that I'm accessing this, what is my connection, right? The fact that I can lean into this and be open, there must be something inside of me that is the same resonance, right? Does that make sense?
You become a pillar of light when you open your Akashic Records. Some people feel it in the classes, like there is something that enters through your crown and makes you feel that. Some people feel like something in their heart. Other people don't feel anything at all, but they know, they have a knowing, like I'm in this field. Some people ask for a sign, then they see something or hear something or feel something, like it's a sign you are in. For me, it was very clear since my first level 1 class. I felt like I have been doing this all my life. And most probably I did it in previous lifetimes, because it felt like coming back home. Really, I didn't have any doubt, or it just happened. And I was able to tap into this field of information. I had many questions for months, like questions and questions and more questions, until one day say, okay, now I feel I get it. And I open my records every day. I receive support every day, and I do sessions every day, and I teach classes on the weekends. Then it's wonderful to be in this field of information, however you want to call.
And I would assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Judith, but I would assume, just for bringing it back to even more to the love conversation here now, if I am Harrison that is doing this self-healing, self-loving, self-caring work, part of that work is the Akashic Records and tuning into that. By me doing that, if my goal is to bring a partner into my life, right, that is the frequency that is attracting, correct? So let me ask it this way. Doing this kind of Akashic Record work and connecting to the masters of love and understanding ourselves more and our missions, our purpose, our passion, our karma, is a side effect of this a beautiful relationship with another person?
What do you think?
Yes.
Again, coming back to the self-love, the more you understand the guidance that they give you, and maybe it's because they send me the clients that I can serve better. And these are things that I have gone through, and I can assist others, and these masters of the Akashic Records know that I have the vocabulary, I have the knowledge. And even though they tell me word by word, I am an instrument. I am just an intermediate person. But if they are emissaries of the divine, the person that is with me in a class or in a session or in my life should feel this love. Because you get transformed through the energy, but not just in the moment. You keep growing. I learn in every session I do. I learn in every class I teach. It's not just like one direction.
It's both. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite things of this podcast, right? And of the work that I do with people. There's always this bi-directional exchange of energy in all that you do, not just within this topic we're talking about today, but when you start to channel things and share intuitive guidance, like if I'm opening my channel to share with Judith right now, something that she needs to hear for whatever reason, there is a part of that frequency that is also for me, right? And it's and this is a whole other conversation, but it's an example of our connection and expressions of the oneness that we are, right? If I'm getting a message to share with Judith in any way, that message, a part of that message, of course, is going to be for me in some way too, because our fundamental base is the same thing. We're made from that same loving frequency, right?
Yeah, what you're saying is very important. But let me clarify something, because some people that are listening, they may think that an Akashic Records consultation is the same as a intuitive reading or a mediumship or a psychic reading. And they don't have much in common, because one of the things that we teach students is when you receive some information for someone else, the first thing that you have to ask is this for me, or should I share it with the other person? Because you may receive pieces of a situation, because as you were saying, Harrison, we are open and we are channels and we receive. But the responsibility that it comes with doing this work is important. And people have to know that we are not trying to know the future or connect with loved ones on the other side, even though it can happen. Like your mother may show up in a session, but that's not the purpose of a reading. We are talking about the journey of your soul. And these beings see you from above. They see who you are since the inception of your soul, who you are in this lifetime, in this incarnation, and the potential development of your soul. Then we are so into matters about, I had this problem in this lifetime. In the journey of your soul, this lifetime is like 5 minutes.
It's it's very we get lost in the humanness, the humanness of these lives, and that bigger picture. I mean, when you were explaining that, I physically felt a release of weight as you were just explaining. It's like, all right, I can really surrender into, and it's not to say that those human things aren't important, but what Judith is explaining is that there is always a bigger picture, right? And if we can zoom out, then we can see that the things that are happening to us, they're really happening for us in many different ways, and we start to expand into that, right? Judith, what I want to do now, I think we've set a really good foundation of what the Akashic Records are, and we've talked about the love connection. Let's go into a reading, if you feel called, and I'm going to do a reading with you, and I'm going to ask some questions. We're going to tap into the records, and then I'll get a little bit vulnerable, and then we'll share a little bit, and then we'll wrap up the conversation after that, and we'll finish with a few ending points. So what we're going to do is we'll set up the container, and Judith will put me in it, and then the next thing you'll hear is me asking the questions, and then we'll go from there. Does it sound good, Judith?
Sounds perfect. But I'm going to treat you like I would treat any other client. Then I'm going to give an introduction for everyone that is listening and for you. then with your permission, we are going to open this Akashic Records of yours. And I need your legal name that identifies you to open your Akashic Records. Then, do you have a middle name?
No, I do not.
Then it's Harrison.
Harrison, and last name is Ma.
Ma?
Ma, yep.
Okay. And once I open your Akashic Records, I will be exactly in the same state of being as I am right now. Nothing is going to change. And I'm here to serve you. And that means that because I'm not in any altered state of consciousness, you can ask any question about the questions that you have prepared for the session or about what is happening. Everything you want to share with me about your questions is welcome, but I don't really need an introduction to any of the questions because I'm not elaborating the answers. They just come to me. I just listen them, or I see a picture that I have to explain. If it's a past life, for example, then because I don't have any idea what I'm talking about, when I give the information to you, I may ask you, do you need more clarity, or does it make sense for you? Then let's say that we don't move from question to question until you feel complete and satisfied. The information has to resonate as true in your heart, and you have to know when to ask the next question. Then I'm not in a hurry. We have plenty of time, I think. And you decide how many questions are you going to ask. If any of the things that you bring to the table with your questions require some of the healing that I mentioned before, then we will stop the conversation and I will ask the Akashic Records what kind of healing needs to be done. And if you allow me, we will do it. I don't know, because every session is different. There are sessions that are 95% questions and no healing. And there are sessions that mostly is healing and not so many questions. Then you are the one that has the timer. I follow you, but the idea is that as soon as I open the Akashic Records, we can start with the questions. And we are just going to pause in the moment of reading the prayer aloud. And then we will tell people like that your Akashic Records are open, and we will really start into the questions. And your Akashic Records are open, and you can start with your questions.
All right. So just for people listening, these questions are on my heart at the moment, the top of my heart. Judith prepared me beforehand, and just going to share them openly and vulnerably, and we'll go from there. So the first question I want to throw at you, Judith, to express through the records is, I'm currently in my awakening experience, going through a few different health challenges, and the one that I have a lot of questions around, I'm looking for guidance over today in the Akashic Records, is tinnitus, ear ringing in my ear canal. And my question is there any emotional, spiritual, energetic frequency or deeper understandings and lessons I should be hearing or listening to?
Then I'll talk about this later, but when you were expressing the question before you said the word, they talk about difficulty to breathe. Then we will go back to that later. But going back to why is happening this to you is your level of empathy makes you feel a lot of what is happening in the world. Then even though it seems an illness, it's trying to protect you. Like what it means is, I don't want to hear anything else. Then what happens is there is an inability to hear because you have an inner noise that separates you from the rest of the world. And it seems like a terrible thing because it might be uncomfortable. But the meaning behind that is not that there is a dysfunction in the ear canal. There is a component, of course, that is physical, that your body is reacting to something. But there is another component that is emotional, about this need to protect yourself by separating yourself from the world. And this is important to understand, because they say that when you humans have an illness or some discomfort, you tend to blame yourself and your body. And they want you to understand the message like it's not something you are doing. This is the kind of the normal reaction of a body that wants to do the best for you, even though it seems the opposite. And it's not broken and needs to be fixed, even though it seems, and it's the kind of medicine that you are humans used to. Does it make sense what they are saying?
Yeah, it does. That one, that deeply resonated, especially that last piece of the... Yeah.
Then the second part that they started when you say health problems that I'm facing right now is connected also with the years, but a different level. When you try to carry the weight of the world in your shoulders, like let's imagine that I am holding the world, literally, there is a lot of pressure. And with this weight, I don't have the capability to really inflate I cannot breathe because I'm holding so much. Then the real solution to both things together is releasing. But releasing what? We're releasing this pressure that you feel for you, for your life, for everything that you are experiencing, and for the world. Like you are taking responsibility for things that are not yours. And you do it because sometimes there is a mix or a misunderstanding between what I'm capable of doing and what I feel I should be doing. Then, as humans, you are here to be responsible for yourself. Like everyone has a responsibility for their own being. But you are not here to change others. Then when you see the pain in the world, there is a part of you that still wants to change it. Wants to not only act, like just with the thinking, by judging, by not liking it, by labeling it as a negative. And in reality, it's not your task. Then this connection means that I accept the world as it is, and I bring more love into it. That's the only capability that you have. If you want to transform the world, transform yourself through the love and then share it with the world where you live. And what they say you humans tend to do is the opposite. I don't like this world, then I disagree. And it is painful to live in here. Then you stop living. There is a part of you that stops living because don't like what is happening, doesn't like the reality. And if we go further, and it's a very long answer, we know, but we want you to understand really and deeply where we are coming from. This is a lesson for surrendering. Because the first step is to releasing all these ideas and patterns of thought and the way we see reality. And second step is accept what is to the fullest with an open heart and love for it. And the third will be to surrender to whatever is happening. Mm. And then you will be more powerful to really release this physical discomfort that you are feeling. Does it make sense?
It does. There's a lot in there that I have to unpack. But let me.
You can ask questions for clarity if you want.
Well, there's another one coming through, Judith, that I want to actually add into this because I think it connects So my next question that I want to ask is also connected to my sort of awakening at the moment in time and deeper layers of myself. I am currently opening up my channel and starting to receive more frequencies and beings and more frequencies, different frequencies of myself. And my question is, when I'm starting to channel my higher self and communicate with my higher self, what are the current challenges or blocks that I need to address so that communication and that channel and receiving from my higher self can occur?
Do you mind to open your eyes?
Mm-hmm.
It's a way of being more present with them, they say. There's nothing wrong, but they don't want you to take it in. They want it just to, you have the recording, just to be here and see how it resonates. Everything that Judith have explained you about the Akashic Records applies to your question. You are going to work with us. It's not a premonition. It's a sooner or later. This conversation had to happen with Judith or someone else, because one thing that you may learn through the process is how to be in this space of neutrality. In order to receive, you have to put yourself aside, as you know. And it's not that we will give you the clarity. The clarity is already within you. What we will give you is this, it's not even a training. They don't like the word training. They say, we will give you the instructions in order for you to make easy this process that in your mind is some sort complicated. Like, it's not necessarily the fireworks. Kind of, they say, if you look at Judith, no, how this is happening, it's eyes open, she's relaxed, she's talking to you, she's not making any effort, because now it's me talking. Like I told you that because of the accident, I cannot make any mental stress at the moment, and I don't feel anything about that. But let's come back to them. Then what they are trying to tell you is that you are ready and more than ready, but you need like a set of instructions that will give you the clarity that you know to trust yourself enough to be a proper channel, instead of just receiving pieces from here and there and not knowing how to express them. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And without going too deeply into it, I'm in that process right now. So that was more of a just a sort of confirmation, and I wanted to sort of connect to that same field. I guess the next question I want to connect into here is I am interested in certain parts of my past life history. And the thing that I'm most interested right now that's sort of coming up in me is a connection to galactic councils, specifically Palladian councils, and a big theme of water and mysticism. So I guess my question is there something that I can be doing to receive more guidance from this connection to this council? Is there something that I can, at the moment, for example, I'm asking questions and being open?
Yeah, they are talking. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
I want to miss
please
that.
interrupt, please.
Do you remember when you told Judith in the conversation about that the divine is already within you?
Mm-hmm.
Then here it happens the same. Then the the counsel that you are talking about is already within you. This is, again, this kind of matters that are complicated for you as human to get. But in the realm that we are talking about, there is no time and space, then there is no there. Like the Pleiades that we see in the sky, they say, like, oh, human, we have a telescope, and oh, yeah, that. Again, everything is energy. And energy and transmission is like, you are there. And again, it's a matter of practice, learning, and trusting. The more you do this, the more you get your standards, your way of doing it, that it's unique, but it's not unique. I mean, it's a standard, but you add your little salt and pepper there. Mm-hmm. But when you mentioned past lives, if I may,
please,
they told something immediately, and it comes with a statement, but I'm going to translate it to you into a question. Like, did you feel triggered by war? Because there is something related with being in a war that it's bothering you. It's like at the surface. When you go through a regression or a dream, that it's the unconscious wants you to know this, then I have the same feeling that they are saying, yeah, he wants to talk about the Pleiades, but we want to talk about war.
Yeah.
And how is he getting triggered by this thing? Because it's more important for him right now to just release that. And we can do some healing about this and everything together because it's necessary. But first, please tell me if this makes sense or if you have questions.
Yes, it does. So that was actually, as I clear my throat, that was one of my other questions that I wanted to get to.
They usually read the list beforehand. Yes. Because they already know what is that you're asking. I don't, but they do.
Yeah, so I guess it's simple then. My question was related to whether it's something a galactic, Orion war, or something to do with have a lot of Atlantean pulls and connections to things that happened at that time. Yeah, my question is just related to what is that thing that I need to release around that?
The first thing that they show me, it was very human, like the kind of wars where one kills another directly. You have another human being, and the part that you are mentioning is connected with a different topic, where you hold power in one of these different worlds that they say it has disappeared, but they are just in a different dimension. And you are very aware of the responsibility that you carry because of the power that you hold, and you misuse it. Then it's kind of you feel you contributed in a certain way to some events because of what you did. And this is something that holds you back because you feel like if you develop your gifts, you are going to hold power again. And this power, you have to know how to use it. It comes with the responsibility. And you are very aware that you don't want to do the same again. And this is still present. And when you try to bring your gifts from these other times, this traumatic conflict within you comes. And then you want, but you don't want. But you don't know why you don't want because you really want. But this gets into the mix, like we make a cocktail and then you drink that. And then you get confused because it's like one step backward, one step forward. And you know you are capable and it happens to you. And then you say, but I don't know. And this is part of the situation. Does it make sense?
It does. So I guess the question with that is the step forward from here would be to just start surrendering again through that, start letting go and
No, we are going to work right now. They are saying that the first thing that we are going to do is to use the power of forgiveness, because you mentioned it and your questions were implicit, that this karma thing, that it's just understanding. Then the past is past. I mean, where they live, these masters of the Akashic Records, they say, we don't have time, but you have time. You humans have time. Then what we call past, present, and future, it doesn't exist. Everything is happening in a concrete moment in time. But for your understanding, these events we are talking are in the past, and they have to remain in the past. You cannot bring them into the present constantly. And in order to not to do that, you have to understanding, but it's letting it go. Forgiveness from the perspective of the Akashic Records mean material to forgive. Give it to who? To them. Do you remember the divine grace that we were talking before? Then when you are ready to let go something is when you forgive. You don't forgive because you're a good guy and you have learned that this is what good guys have to do. You forgive because it will set you free. It will allow you to move forward. You forgive for you, not for others. Then you can talk about reparation or not, but reparation is not even necessary, because what you decide when you forgive is, I'm going to act differently. I learn means I'm not going to do it again because I learned. And that's the only thing. Karma is really bad understood. They say you put too much drama into it. But what is important is to learn that self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others is what really gives you the freedom to be you.
All right, there's a lot in that one, but I think we'll do one more question here, Judith, and then we'll wrap up with the healing at the end of the session. The last question I want to throw in here is speaking of that power and stepping into it and sharing with the world. One of the ways I'm doing that currently is this podcast and platform that we're both speaking on right now. So I guess
you have been a journalist in many lifetimes. I mean, this is something that comes easy for you.
I can feel that one for sure. The question, I guess, is, thank you for sharing that. The question is, what advice and guidance as the energy of this platform expands, what advice would there be?
Be true to yourself. Be true to who you are. Always be you, authentically you. And you can release any expectation, idea, how it's supposed to happen, how it's going to happen, what should I be doing to make it happen. Your energy should be in you and the love that you bring. That's enough. And we are going to stop here. When we finish a session, I'm going to do it very briefly. They ask me not to summarize, but to put the information together. Then let me just do that and close your records, and then we wrap up and continue with the conversation.
Beautiful.
Then, Harrison, they want you to know that you are so loved. That if in any moment you feel alone, remember these words. You are so loved. There is nothing you need to fix or to change or to transform within yourself. There are many things coming your way, and you are tasting them. But this is like when you go to the swimming pool and you put the feet to see if, the water is cold. No, it's warm. No, then there is going to be a moment where you are going to jump into the swimming pool. You are just putting the feet right now. And we invite you to do so with the certainty that you are going to be guided and supported. You are not alone. And with this, we are going to close your record saying thank you to the masters, the teachers, and the loved ones for the information, the guidance, and the healing that they provided to us during this mini session. And now your Akashic records are closed. Amen, amen, amen.
Judith, thank you very much for all of that, my friend. I have a lot of homework to start leaning into, and I'm excited to expand. And that beautiful analogy right at the end of putting the toes and the feet into the water, you could not be more accurate for a big part of my journey. I think listeners out there in the podcast world, I think if you've been listening to these episodes over the last months, I think even you can sort of tune into that energy and that expansion, not just of me, but with all the people that have been coming on. So Judith, thank you for sharing that with me. My beautiful friend, there was one other piece I wanted to hit on, but I think it left me. Yeah, it's gone. For now, Judith, what I want to do here is I want to give you the space now to connect to people listening. If people have listened to that Akashic Record reading, and my intention for that was to really help you listening understand, if you haven't had a reading before, or what Akashic Records is. I hope what we just did there, both before chatting about the questions and then we went deep into all of that, I hope it really hit your heart and at least got you curious in this. So if you are curious, Judith, what would you like to share with people listening, either about your personal work in general or how people can get in touch and connect to the Akashic Records?
Well, first, I want to know, how are you feeling right now? I know sometimes can be complicated to continue an interview after this.
Well, I'm feeling grounded, my friend. I am feeling, there are some things moving through me, but like I said, I'm going to take a bit of break between this recording and my next meeting to just integrate a little bit, but I'm feeling grounded.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for the opportunity. It has been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed. And about what you said, I just want to share that we are all students and teachers. I'm not smarter or wiser than any of the people that can be listening. I'm just trained to do that, and anyone can be trained. We all have different gifts and different ways of doing things, but really, when I discovered my passion and that the purpose of our lives is not like a mission, like something that you have to do. It's just be happy, be in love, discover who you are. Then this transformed my life, and I hope that I can help you transform yours. That's what I do, and I don't like the word "do" for living. That's what I do for a hobby, because it's my passion. Unfortunately, I have to pay the rent and this thing that happens, so that it becomes a business, but I will do it for free every day. Like if tomorrow I win the lottery, I will just do it bigger and to arrive to more people. Then if there is anything I can do to help you in your path, just connect with me in my website. There is a contact form with my email and my telephone number. I'm in social media. You can subscribe to receive my gift letters, my blogs, information about events. And I really try to uplift people and to share this love, to spread the love. I consider myself an ambassador of love. And that's it. Nice sharing love with you.
I think you do a beautiful, you step into that role in such a divine way, my friend. So I think much as a lot of the guidance you've given me, I'm going to put that back to you. You're in it, you're doing it already. And just for people listening in the podcast world, as always, you can go to the show notes of this episode and you'll see, I'll put Judith's details to her website, her contact form, so you can click on that link and connect to this beautiful soul if you're feeling the pull. Judith, I love you very much. I have one final question here to wrap all of this up, this beautiful journey that we've been taking today. And I think I have a pretty good idea with what you're going to say, but I want to ask it anyway, because I ask it to everyone. The question I want to end here with is, this is the Cosmic Love Antenna, and we're really exploring in all the different ways what love means at a very fundamental level. So I'm wondering, Judith, how do you personally define that love word?
Love is who you are, and is the most powerful energy in the universe.
If there's any more to that, I think it is not needed. Judith, I love you very much. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Lots of love.
I'm sending all the love out to you, the listeners. Thank you for spending time with us. Hope you got some value and some insights. If you did, please remember you can share this episode out to anyone that you think can get some value. But until next time here on the show, we send you love, we send you light. Have a beautiful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And we'll talk again soon. Bye, everyone. All right, beautiful souls. Before I leave you today, I'm excited to share an announcement and a powerful transformation with you. Starting on January 1st, 2023, I'll be launching a 1-year coaching program, one-on-one with me. So if you're looking to move through inner child wounds, ancestral healing, spiritual gifts, overcoming religious trauma, or anything else you hear me speaking about on this podcast, then this program is for you. This is your opportunity to spend a year in my frequency to help you expand one-on-one straight into your nuanced, specialized, and individual needs. This is for you if you're ready, if you feel committed, if that heart is pulling you to the change that you deserve. If you feel like this is you, please message me the word, the comments, the statement, 1 year love on my email or on my social channels, and we'll book your free call to feel in and tune in together to see if we're a good fit for this beautiful transformation. Please be aware I'm only bringing on a certain amount of people for this. So if this is you, please take this advantage before I fill up all my spots. I'm excited if this is the pull that you need, and I'm excited to get in touch and honored to take this journey with you. Sending love, sending light, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Love Antenna podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to follow Harrison on Instagram, Twitter, and Clubhouse at Harrison Ma. That's Harrison, MEAGHER.
Electricast.